Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Vampyr. And we are still exploring our office here at Pembroke Hospital, guys, before we start our residency proper. We still need to meet a lot of the hospital staff, and we also have two missions. We need to analyze William Bishop's blood at the workbench, which is right here. And we also need to enter the backyard garden because Milton, the ambulance driver, said that one of the patients may have ran back there and could be potentially feral. So we will go ahead and check that. As you can see, I took off the hat from the locker, and while changing back, because I actually like the unhatted version of Reid a lot better, we actually got some cool documentation. Let me go ahead and read this to you. New practices and tactics, fire and sun. Where was that at? I think it was... Here we go. An article on Ekans. A short article by Dr. Edgar Swansea about Ekans. It is a rare opportunity and almost a privilege to approach a vampire, to observe their most intriguing physical and psychological traits with a scientific and rational eye. Here are some of the most fascinating abilities I've personally observed over the last 10 years while interviewing a few vampire, or Ekin, or Econ, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, as they prefer to call themselves. Supernatural speed. A vampire can act and move like a mortal in all his actions, but the trained eye will spot that they have the keenest senses and can react quicker than any mortal. On a few occasions, alarm, surprise, necessity to flee, I have seen a vampire move so quickly it is almost as if he had vanished just to reappear somewhere else. The human eye cannot follow their movements when they act so quickly, but it is not a teleport or dematerialization. It is only a supernatural speed. For me, it is a cat-like attribute, which allows them to run, dodge, or jump longer and faster than us. I also notice that such speed seems to exhaust them, and that they are bound to physical limitations. Mesmerism. One of the most powerful abilities a vampire can deploy is the capacity to force a mortal to obey them. I call this trait mesmerism, but it has nothing to do with the mortal ability to alter a subject's mental state. A vampire can bend a mortal to their will, and they can even break a mind. A vampire I interviewed even told me the more a subject tries to resist, the more permanent the damage will be, as if the vampire could literally fracture their target's psyche. The same vampire explained to me that this ability required time to master, and that the result could vary widely from one subject to another. Implant a false memory, erase a painful one. The possibilities are endless and frightening. Blood awareness. This may be the most catastrophic ability of all concerning vampires, since it is the cause of so many tragedies for them and us. Vampires crave for blood. They must use their will to restrain themselves from frenzied drinking every drop of blood they can see. They need blood to function, and to express their full supernatural traits. A famished vampire can be very weak, even if he cannot die of hunger or thirst. This urge, this need for blood, may explain why a vampire is so aroused by it. A vampire confessed to me that blood could sometimes blind him, since its smell and attractiveness can be so strong. When he focuses, a vampire can almost see blood all around them, inside warm bodies, through walls, on a supposedly clean weapon, etc. The same vampire even told me that he can see if a mortal has clean blood or is ill, and that in some cases he can even sense diseases, infected clothes, or even items in a room. If this is true, it could have so many medical applications that it almost beggars belief. Very true. And we are actually a bit low on blood, to tell you the God's honest. Nothing here.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Oh crap. Okay. Do we have water anywhere? I think there was a clipboard. Aha! Dr. Swansea's message. Dear Jonathan, I asked Nurse Crane to secure an office for you on the second floor. Please forgive the austere decoration, but Pembroke Hospital is not exactly the Ritz. Sorry to let you discover your office alone, but I need to sleep a little before going back to work. I'm just a mere mortal after all. I also gave orders to let you rest, and for the staff to never enter your room. You'll be able to sleep all day without being disturbed and work at night without raising any suspicion. I'm afraid the place is quite messy, but you'll be able to conduct your experiments here at your own pace. You'll also notice that there is an open window with a scaffolding that will allow you to enter or exit the hospital without being noticed. I imagine how awfully new and disturbing this all must be for you. Believe me, I have studied enough of your species to understand what you must now be facing and feeling. Be assured I'll do whatever I can to help you in this ordeal. Know that you're not completely alone facing it. I'm glad I met you. These dark times we are all presently facing. I hope our future collaboration will yield great results. Welcome to Pembroke, my esteemed colleague. We shall talk soon. Yours sincerely, Edgar Griffith Swansea. P.S. I left a copy of some of my notes concerning what I've discovered about Icken in the last few years. Feel free to read about it if you need some guidance, as long as you don't use this knowledge to take advantage of me. He's pretty straight and to the point, isn't he? Ooh. Refill all the ammo. We do have that really nifty sword. And where is the scaffolding in question?
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Well, we can... Oh. Well, we have water right here. I guess we're pretty much done in here. Alright. We need to talk to the rest of the staff and see what's going on here. But first, a used hacksaw. T. Elwood's medical file. Patient Thomas Elwood, age 28, followed by Dr. Tippett's, status, convalescence, date of admission, September 16th, date of release to be determined. The patient's face has been heavily burnt and disfigured by a bomb during the war. Even with the use of the strongest sedatives, he affirms to regularly endure severe pain from the wounds, as if the flames are still burning under the skin, he says. Examinations of the cauterized tissue show no trace of inflammation, infection, or swelling. Scars are clean. Could it be a case of persistent nerve damage? The patient never ceases to blame himself for his disfiguration. Could it be a case of guilt of the survivor? Phantom pain manifesting as a punishment for not dying with his comrades? Ooh. Hopefully we'll get to meet some folks here. Bottle of cheap gin. I figure alcohol is plentiful here at this facility. I'm curious. Well, we haven't gone up to the 3rd floor yet. It looks like... What else is blocked off here? Dr. Swansea. Hello!
Not now.
Oh. He said not now. It's like, I'm taking care of personal things. Well, let's check the top floor. Nothing there. What does that say? 1st floor? Okay. Genius. Nothing in the box. Once we get into combat, we can check out that nifty sword, because it has some interesting stats to it, I guess, comparatively to the other stuff. Okay. Got some storage here. Small bottle. This must lead to the garden. Yes, it does. Well, we know where to go. And it was pretty bad that even Milton didn't want to deal with it. I'm sure we're probably going to get into combat here. Long letter. Uh-oh. Birmingham, 27th of October. Hello, sis. How are things in the big city? Here in Brum, things are not so good. It seems the flu is here again, and we have many new cases of infection in the neighborhood. Do you remember Miss Scheller, the old drinking hag from the 3rd floor? She passed away 2 days ago, and her flat is already occupied again. Geez, you'd have to pay me a huge amount of money to go to sleep in the bed in which a woman died of the flu just a few hours ago. Sorry I did not take the time to answer your last letter. Between taking care of little Paul, Mum, Dad, and my job at the factory, I rarely find time to write to my favorite sister. By the way, my son says hello to his Auntie Pippa. You should see the little bugger, already driving me mad. And Mum says you can bring back some of those marvelous cakes the next time you come back home. In your last letter, you told me you thought about quitting your job at the Pembroke Hospital. I have to tell you, Pip, you better think twice. There are always jobs at the factory, but wages are shit. And it's as much boring as the day without a and it's as boring as a day without a shag. Oh, I have a new fiancé. And no, I'm no slut, you moral bitch, you. So if you really want to quit and do something more useful than counting the dead every morning, maybe you should stay in London and join that band you told me about. The Guard or Priven? Something like that? Never heard of them. But if they're, like you said, some sort of civil militia trying to make a difference, then maybe it's a good choice for you. Just be sure to let the others go in front. That's how my poor Billy got killed in France, by leading too many patrols. Bloody war. Anyway, come back as soon as you can, and give me all the good news before that. I'm your affectionate sister, Lucy, Paul, Mum, and Dad. And that was to Pippa.
It's locked.
Can't go through there. A little bit of intrigue, I see. Okay.
Spare me, Dark Queen. Spare your obedient slave.
Is this Pippa?
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Personal questions.
Pippa, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
You should be proud of what you've achieved. This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
New hint available. Interesting.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I'm really liking finding out more details about people.
Damn. The pain.
Oh, is this the
Here
guy?
again.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reid. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Doesn't look too bad. Could have been worse.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Ouch.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
The plot thickens.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Well,
reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
hint failed. Thomas feels responsible for his disfiguration. Oh, we messed something up. Boo. Okay,
Tell
hold
me
on.
what really happened then.
I went with a...
Did you...
No.
Why?
I don't want to...
Oh, man, we ruined it. Curses.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Oh, it's our priest friend.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reid, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologise for my behaviour.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behaviour. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
Really?
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reid. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Which would lead, obviously, into corruption.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
What about people you don't know?
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Wet boot boys.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Good Samaritan.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Maybe it has to be, like, blessed or ordained, maybe?
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Daily routine.
No. Oh, I did not even notice you. Hello, ma'am. About the use of garlic and wooden stakes. Dear brothers, I must now draw your attention to a very important point. The use of garlic as a protection against vampires. Let's be crystal clear on the subject. Garlic will never protect you against those creatures. No matter how fresh, how strong, or how smelly, garlic is totally useless as a defense. I can never say enough how damaging that novel of Bram Stoker has been. Yes, of course, population of Slavic countries place garlic cloves in coffins. And yes, of course, inhabitants of Santorini Island hang garlic on their windows. There would be so much to write about this place, and someday soon, I hope to go back to this island to further explore its occult tradition. But that is not to protect the living from the devil. It is to tell the dead that they are aware of their malevolence. It is a symbol. Nothing more and nothing less. So please, by all means, yes, wear garlic, show garlic, hang garlic, and tell the shadows that you are not afraid. But if you're looking for supernatural protection, you will have to search much deeper into the forgotten secrets of the occult tradition. For here's the truth, my fellow brothers. Garlic does not repel a vampire, but all the fresh plants will hurt them, as if their body could not stand the presence of botanical elements. I have seen an enraged vulp flee when whacked with a rose. Yes, a simple rose. I have witnessed a vile Ekin fall down and beg for mercy when struck by a wooden stake. I don't know why it's so effective, and I would give my left arm to find the answer to that mystery, but the truth remains nevertheless. Vampires are very sensitive to fresh herbs, plants, and woods. From Facing the Shadows, How and Why, by Usher Talltree, Primate of St. Paul.
I wonder why the Goswicks came here in the first place.
I wonder what your last thoughts would be.
Hi.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reid, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reid, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Really?
Do you require my services, Miss Howcroft?
I have no need for your medicine, Dr. Reid. Blood is the only drug I need.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Uh-huh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
She's certainly poetic.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Now, Thelma's affected by the Cotard syndrome and believes she's a vampire.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
Ah. Okay.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
So she's essentially a vampire version... wrong target, new investigation. She's essentially the vampiric equivalent of a Quisling from the World War Z novel, not the horrible movie.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
Oh, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Uh-huh. Interesting.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Time has lost its effect on me,
Fear and disgust
but the suffering
on every
continues.
street.
Interesting patience we have here.
Daily routine.
Double check and see if there's anyone we may have missed. I'm also looking for water. I have a plant. Got... Ooh. Oh, holy crap. Got a ton of people to talk to.
But in the circumstances,
Alright, well, of course Pembroke wouldn't, you know... Oh, there's doors out. And a weird disfigured reflection. Alright. Well, it looks like this is the last little part of the hospital, at least when it comes to people that we can talk to. And then we can go ahead and check that garden. Or who knows, there may be other areas of the hospital we need to check as well. But we have started... Oh, why is Elvira walking about? Is it feeding time? Oh, what are you looking at? Prevent disease, careless spitting, sneezing, coughing, spread influenza. Spread by droplets sprayed from the nose and throat. Do not cough in public. You hear that, mistress? Alright, guys. Well, I think I will go ahead and end the episode here. It's a shame that we missed that clue for this guy. Well, we're just going to have to watch what we say, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out what's wrong with him. Or at least end his pain. Literally or figuratively, I'm not sure. But if you guys liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.